Welcome back. In 2023, just 254 cases of human trafficking were identified in Michigan. That's according to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which also found that the vast majority of cases took place at someone's home. And tonight, we talked to a survivor who turned the trauma of her childhood into a mission to help others. And we ride along with Emmett Township Police to find out the hot spots that detectives are targeting.
Oftentimes it's unreported.
It can happen anytime, anywhere.
We had a tip that there was a young female out here with an older gentleman.
Emmett Township Detective Sergeant Richard Mackey is part of a joint task force in Calhoun County tracking down human traffickers at truck stops and motels.
We encountered a runaway female from Louisiana up here who had ran away from home, and we believed that she was being sex trafficked.
Detective Sergeant Mackey tells us in his 13 years in law enforcement, he's investigated just 4 cases of human trafficking.
A lot of it is website based, and they're disguised under escort services.
Who are these individuals that are showing up?
They're the guy next door many times that you would never suspect.
Detective Sergeant Mackey says that most often people are trafficked not by a stranger, but by someone they trust.
Who's got case study 2?
A scenario Battle Creek resident Robin Bowles says happened to her at the age of 14 after being admitted to a local hospital for a severe illness.
While I was in the hospital, one of my care providers was also had interest in building a relationship with me, and I was just a minor.
So a medical professional who was there to help you with your pneumonia became a predator?
Yes, absolutely.
Robin says the abuse was also happening at home.
Bottom apartment right underneath the balcony.
She shows us her childhood apartment in Battle Creek where she once lived with her mother and her boyfriend.
And oftentimes I would get locked out of the apartment. I do believe my mom was also a victim of trafficking of some sort.
Robin takes us to another location where she says her mother's boyfriend abducted her and forced her to live in a small locked room.
He would often make me sleep in the bathtub. He would urinate on me. I had to do special favors to get privileges and my basic needs met.
Battle Creek police records show Robin was reported as a runaway dozens of times, but when officers showed up, she says she was told to simply go home.
They looked at me as a troubled teen instead of a teen in trouble.
One night, after she woke up from being beaten unconscious, Robin had enough.
I told my abductor I'm leaving, and he said, "I'll kill you if you do." And I said, "You're going to kill me anyways, it doesn't matter." I'm bloody and bruising. I walked out of that door.
3 decades later, Robin thought the trauma of her past was over until she went to a church service in 2023 and ran into the healthcare provider who she says trafficked her as a child, telling her he wanted to reconnect. Days later, she filed a report with Battle Creek Police, afraid for the safety of the children who attended that church.
So you believe there were other victims
Guaranteed,
after you?
100%.
Robin says her testimony of childhood trauma coincided with the stack of police reports filed by her mother in the late 1990s.
So they pulled it out and they laid my life out in front of me in black and white, and he knew at that moment that I was telling the truth.
The detective called the retired healthcare provider that Robin accused of trafficking her. In that recorded conversation, he admitted to police that Robin had visited his home when she was a minor.
But at no time there was oral sex or anything like that happened. Not that I remember, no.
2 days later, police documents show he was found dead. His death ruled a suicide.
I had to do something with that energy, so we launched on silence, and I became unsilent. They'll become defensive or make an excuse of why their abuse is okay.
Today, Robin is hosting seminars through her new nonprofit, Unsilenced, Battle Creek Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition.
So what do you think that is?
Human trafficking.
It is.
And law enforcement officers like Detective Sergeant Mackey are partnering with Unsilenced, looking for new ways to stop the cycle of exploitation. But Robin says her work is never finished. She takes us for a walk along Linear Trail in Battle Creek, where she says decades ago she was forced to exchange sexual favors for food.
So 35 years ago, this was a trail of despair.
Yeah.
Today, obviously, you're on a new path.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how does that make you feel coming back to this location?
Very empowered to be able to stand and reflect back on it and know that I had such strength and willpower. I wouldn't be here doing what I do without God.
And if you or someone you know is a survivor of human trafficking, call the 24/7 confidential hotline. That number is 1-888-373-7888.
And welcome back to News Channel 3 Live at 11. January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. And there's a side to human trafficking that most people don't think about. Many survivors are left with a criminal record after being forced to commit crimes against their will. Well, now the Michigan nonprofit, the Joseph Project, is tackling this need, giving survivors free legal assistance. And tonight, a woman from Battle Creek shares her traumatic story, hoping others will be encouraged to ask for help. A place where some may go to find solitude, one woman experienced horrific abuse.
This creek right here is often where I would take a shower.
Human trafficking survivor Robin Bowles takes us for a walk on Linear Trail in Battle Creek. The snow-covered path now hides the spot she says her abductor would trade her for money at the age of 14.
Oftentimes this trail right here, we would sleep on it. Oftentimes I would get beaten on it. Oftentimes this is where he would trade me with friends to get basic needs of food.
Robin's only childhood photo is now on a billboard along I-94 in Calhoun County.
This is our 24/7 phone number.
She's willing to share her story if it means even just one little girl is rescued by a stranger who notices the signs.
Just because I've built so much resilience and I've climbed up to the point where I am today.
But Robin says she's one of the lucky ones. She remembers being forced to commit crimes, including shoplifting and prostitution, but was never caught.
I was told to do it. I had to do it. I didn't have a choice.
But for the human trafficking survivors who do have a criminal record, that's where Nate Napper and the Joseph Project come in.
Freedom for us means removing every barrier that stands between the survivor and an empowered future.
The Michigan-based nonprofit has helped nearly 600 survivors with what Napper calls a legal first responders network that expands to 32 states in the District of Columbia.
And so, part of closing the justice gap, as we say, is to deliver criminal record relief to those people by way of the expungement process.
Napper, who is also a federal law enforcement officer, says 90% of survivors have a need for legal assistance. He says many struggle to find employment, education, and housing because of their criminal record.
The last figure set that I saw, I believe, was from 2023. And I think that it said that there was about 500 or so victims that were identified in that year in Michigan alone.
Just 500?
Just 500.
Is that underreported?
I believe it is underreported. And I was going to make that point. I think that represents only a snapshot of the problem.
Robin and other survivors testified in Lansing last November for 3 Senate bills designed to support law enforcement officers and attorneys as they make their case against traffickers.
There is no reason why you could not establish a national legal network, pro bono network. That's the end goal of the Joseph Project. The question is, will you keep faith and will you persevere long enough to see God bring good out of the dark things that you've been through?
Who is that? Is that Sammy? Yeah? Sammy?
Even with Robin's darkest days now behind her, she says every moment she chooses recovery. And her faith and family are her foundation. And Robin Bowles was just nominated for the 2025 Liberator Award in the Survivor category for starting Unsilenced, Battle Creek Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. You can find a link to vote for her on our website, WWMT.com, as well as more information about the Joseph Project.